The way things work is definitely very brief, but quite delightful. This is the second of three segments in the 11th episode of the 7th season of Rugrats, and Tommy is dragging Dale around on a blankie to teach him about different things. And there are, some funny comments about these things, and ultimately it's about Tommy really appreciating Dale and being really thankful for Dale as being the best little baby brother ever. And Tommy steps up to be the best big brother ever by teaching Dale all of these things that Dale will need to know when he grows up and becomes a big baby like Tommy. I don't want to go into too much more detail than that because there's not much else to it, and I don't want to spoil too much of it, but I liked it. I would have liked it to have been a bit longer. I would have liked to have seen Tommy commenting on more things around the house, but I also acknowledge that if it was longer, we'd need a more detailed narrative and something to make it a little bit more developed. So it works well as being shorter, but because I enjoyed it so much, I wanted more of it. So my favourite quote, this is of course a spoiler for the thing that I found the most entertaining, but also the most revealing as well. And this quote, this is the last thing I have to say about this. Well, I will say beautifully animated, great pacing, wanted more of it. A spoiler from now, this quote I just love because it's so revealing. And it's a quote that Tommy says to Dill when he drags him up to the fridge, and he says, "The fridge later makes food while you're sleeping. It never runs out." And that is so beautiful because a child who thinks they will always have food is a child who generally feels safe in their environment and feels like their parents can look after them. Children who have been neglected often have anxieties about where their next meal will come from. They certainly wouldn't have this sense of the fridge making food while they're asleep. So it was just a nice little sentence that I think was meant to be funny, but for me, it was a nice way to show that Tommy feels secure in his home and that he feels his parents can always be there for him and that there'll always be food for him. And that's so sweet and so lovely. And that's how every child should feel. So I rather like that, but it's a really good segment. Definitely very brief. I would have liked it to be a little bit longer, but what we got was still pretty great.